You're listening to Unlocked, Your Career by Design with Samantha Florence, Fortune 100 executive, billion-dollar business leader, and founder of Powerhouse Code. Here, you'll discover how to build authority, attract opportunities, and lead with authentic presence. If you're ready to claim your spotlight and step into your next level, you're in the right place. Let's unlock your career by design. There's a moment in every woman's career where she realizes something. No amount of overthinking will take you where a single decision will. Because overthinking isn't intelligence, it's protection. And leadership begins the moment you stop protecting your old identity and decide to step into a new one. So leaders aren't necessarily better thinkers. They're better deciders. And I want you to think about the last episodes where I talked about the power of asking the right questions. And secondly, moving from doing into being. So not keep asking the question, what do I need to do? But rather asking the question, who do I need to be? And so in today's episode, I'm going to talk about why leaders and high-performing professionals or successful professionals don't waste their time in overthinking. Because overthinking results in delaying action. And delaying action results in delaying decisions. And decisions, like really decision making, is what separates leaders from professionals who keep on doing. And also something to consider is that overthinking is the mental version of overworking. And it comes from the same place. Doubt, questioning, fear of getting it wrong, fear of being seen, fear of being judged, fear of losing control. And so overthinking is staying safe in the known self, right? In your comfort zone. And it keeps you in motion because you're thinking. How can I do this better? What should I change? But you're not progressing because you're stuck in a loop of same place, doing the work in terms of thinking, but not moving forward. So imagine if you're a car on the road and you're trying to get to your destination and you're just stuck in place. The engines are running harder and harder and harder, but you're not going forward because those engines running is like your brain overthinking. And so this is what I mean with it keeps you in motion, but you're not really progressing. And ironically, the more capable you are, the more you overthink because you can always find something to analyze. And so overthinking is just your brain trying to earn a level you were meant to claim. The action sits in taking decision. The magic sits in taking decisions. And so if you think about what I talked about in the last episode, that at senior levels, the value shifts from doing to being and now deciding. And this is not only for professionals, it's also for businesses. If you look at successful businesses who were once startups and then they became scale-ups before they became established companies, it started with the startup phase, doing. Then the scale up, who do we need to be? What do we need to change? To the deciding, okay, this is my legacy. This is what we stand for. And so running your career is the same as running a business. And the thing that I want you to keep in mind is that senior leaders make decisions with imperfect information all the time. Now, this is really important because, like I said before, the overthinking might come from fear of judgment, fear of losing control, fear of being seen. But there's also an element of the unknown. When I have all the information, I will make the decision. When I know what my manager thinks about me, I will make a decision. When I know whether I will get a promotion, I will finally start looking externally. That's not how leaders make decisions. They make decisions based on imperfect and incomplete information. Like I said, running your career is like running a business. The most successful businesses do not know whether their clients will renew their contracts, whether there will be an economic downturn next year. But they take risks and they make decisions based on what they know. And it's not recklessness, it's identity. They trust their energy, their experience, their intuition. They trust themselves to course correct because action creates clarity. And they trust that clarity follows commitment, not the other way around. And so I want you to consider that the moment you take a decision, you stop being the version of you who was waiting. And that's the real change. Because your next level, dear professional, is not waiting for a better plan. It's waiting for a braver identity. Now, I really want you to let this sink in. So I'm going to repeat it. Your next level is not waiting for a better plan. It's waiting for you to step into a braver identity. Because what happens when you finally decide? When you finally decide, decision collapses timelines. Decision rearranges opportunities. Decision sends a signal to yourself, to others, to your environment, and decision is the energetic upgrade the universe responds to. Okay, hold on, Sam. That's a lot of things you just shared with me. So decision collapses timelines. What does that mean? In this lifetime, think about when you were little, what did you want to be when you grow up? Maybe you wanted to be a doctor or a singer. Chances are you have a completely different career today. But when you make a decision, you jump timelines. You create different opportunities for yourself and you create different outcomes. And so that's what it is when I talk about decision collapses timelines. For example, think back about the Michael Jordan example. Michael Jordan was a basketball player. He made a decision that he wanted to become a baseball player. That is collapsing timelines. Because if he did not make that decision, he would have carried on being a basketball player, doing his thing, being the greatest of all time. But he made a decision to become a baseball player. And therefore, he collapsed the timeline. Because normally, if he were to stay in his basketball world, he would have probably retired as a basketball player. And in this lifetime, basketball player is the only thing he would have been. But he made a decision to become a baseball player. So all of a sudden, in this lifetime, in his time on this earth, he collapsed the timelines because he was a basketball player and a baseball player in one lifetime because of one decision. With that, like I said, decision rearranges opportunities. If he stayed in his basketball player lane, that would have meant knowing the same trainers, knowing the same players, knowing the same coaches. But he shifted into baseball, a completely different world, getting to know different people, having a different set of trainers, different coaches, different network. So I make this comparison for you to understand what the impact is when you make decisions. Because with decision follows clarity to begin with, and it creates a whole new set of opportunities that were not there before you made a decision. So think about staying stuck in your mind, you in your car, in like just pressing the gas, going forward, moving to your destination, but nothing is happening because you're in your mind overthinking. Whereas when you make a decision, when you take action, the universe conspires because your decision sends a signal to yourself. I'm ready for more. I decide today that I do not want this situation anymore. It sends a signal to others. It sends a signal to your environment. And decision is the energetic upgrade the universe responds to. Now, this might be a bit woo for some people, but it is absolutely true. Have you ever had a moment that you made a decision or took action after months or weeks of procrastinating and overthinking, and once you made a decision, once you took action, the universe started to conspire? Either you met people who helped you on your journey, or you got a sign that you're on the right path. So like I shared in the beginning, I will be having some woo versions, woo episodes talking about the universe and manifestation and things like that. But when you make a decision, making a decision is the most powerful action you can take for your life, for your business, and for your career. And I have watched entire careers shift. Not when somebody worked harder, not when they thought longer, but the moment they decided to lead. Because, dear listeners, leadership is not a title. It's not a position. It's not a job description. It is a decision. That's it. Do you decide to be a leader or do you decide to be just a regular professional doing the work and waiting for somebody else to tap them on their shoulder? Because that's what it comes down to. And if you think about the last three episodes, 2 episodes ago, I talked about the power of the right questions. And the last episode, I talked about shifting from doing to being. And in this episode, I'm talking about decision making. And why am I doing that? I am doing that because this is what it takes to be a leader. And what I see happening, most professionals, they focus on their manager, who is a shitty manager. They focus on the company who's taking away benefits or doesn't have the benefits. They're focusing on the competition, a coworker who got a promotion or a raise or a new opportunity. By the way, comparison is the ultimate thief of joy. And so, honestly, do you choose, do you decide to spend your time and energy on external factors? Or can you imagine a different outcome and different possibilities when you shift your focus to internal factors such as asking powerful questions, shifting from doing to being, and ultimately making tough decisions? Why tough? Because it's easier to overthink, to stay within your comfort zone, and then complain. That's not why we're here. And if you're listening to this episode, that tells me you have everything it takes to be a leader. So start acting and behaving like it, God damn it. Okay. Now, when you decide, when you make the decision for yourself, you step into a new frequency and people feel this and the rooms respond to it and opportunities reorganize around it because there's nothing more powerful than somebody taking a stance, than somebody taking a decision. And it reminds me when I had the opportunity, this was back, what year are we talking? 2023. Yeah. That I was on the trajectory of being promoted from director to senior director. And they offered me a role that I really did not want. And I remember my senior leaders thinking, what the hell is wrong with her? We are offering her a promotion, a 30% salary increase. There are people lined up for this. And I said, this is not aligned to my career aspirations. I do not want this role. Oh my goodness. That caused shockwaves into the senior leadership team. But I held my ground. I said, listen, I know what I have. I know I have what it takes. I know I will be fabulous in this role, but I want to do things that gives me energy. Because when I get the energy, I tell you, I am a trailblazer. I bring the passion, the energy, the positivity, and I run billion-dollar businesses as if it's nothing. But I didn't want that particular role because I know it was not aligned to my career aspirations and my energy. So I quit. I said, my decision is that I do not want to be considered for this role. And it was such a tough decision to make. But in the end, it did work out because I got offered a different opportunity, also at senior director level, which was much more aligned to my career aspirations. And like I said, I was the best version of myself because it was something that I truly wanted. And I have another example of Maria. She was our Breakthrough of the Year candidate in Elevate You, she also got offered a promotion and she said no. And again, the same thing. Her manager and the senior leaders were like, who says no to a promotion? But that's the thing. When you decide, right? When you take ownership of your career, don't leave it to chance. Design your career. That's why it's called Your Career by Design. People respect that. They feel the decisiveness and the ownership and leadership because leaders say no, leaders make decisions and opportunities you organize around it. And so as I leave you today, ladies and gentlemen that are listening, I want you to think about what decision have you been putting off? Where have you been procrastinating? And what are you spending your energy on currently in terms of overthinking, questioning, self-doubt? Like, no, let's go. Make your decision, take action, and the clarity will follow. It's not the other way around. Many people think clarity first, decision second, action third. That's not how it works. It's decision first, action second, clarity will follow. I'll see you in the next episode. You have been listening to Unlocked Your Career by Design with Samantha Florence. If today's episode sparked something, here's your next step. Follow the show and leave a 5-star review. That's how we reach more ambitious women ready to break barriers. And if you know a colleague or friend who needs this, share it with them because lifting one woman lifts us all. Until next week, keep owning your spotlights.